It is Friday, June 26th, 2026, and this is The High Road, Logistics and Leadership. I'm Dan Miller, and I treat this market like a game of championship chess.
I'm Elena Rossi.
This is Buck Reynolds.
And I'm Jules Sterling. We have a great show for you today.
Look, yesterday we were all over the map, from the diesel price dip in the Strait of Hormuz to that absolute bloodbath of a CDL crackdown in Texas. Today, we've got a packed episode focusing on a literal atomic scale leap in computing and some high-stakes geopolitical chaos in the Gulf. Let's jump right into the deep end with this IBM news. Now look, I'm no Silicon Valley type, but this is a game changer. IBM just unveiled a 0.7 nanometer chip. They're calling it nano-stack architecture.
Wait, 0.7? I thought we were just getting to 2 nanometers.
Right. It's a leapfrog move. We're talking about 100 billion transistors on a chip the size of a fingernail. Bottom line, it's a 50% performance bump or a 70% drop in power use.
Actually, the power reduction is the real story here. You see, the energy crisis for data centers is the primary bottleneck for frontier model AI. If you can cut power by 70%, the scalability changes.
I mean, that's all well and good in a server farm, but does it actually help a guy in a cab?
That's the play, Buck. This allows for massive on-device processing. Imagine a truck running a complex AI model locally. No cloud latency, no signal drops in the middle of Nebraska.
So it's sort of like taking the brain of a supercomputer and putting it in the dashboard, right?
Exactly. IBM says it could shrink the training time for logistics models from 3 months down to 2 weeks. That's like going from a slow roll to a full sprint.
My thing is, more processing power usually leads to more complexity, and complexity is where the risk hides. We can't let the cool tech blind us to the physical failure points.
Now that's a point. A chip can be as fast as a rocket, but it still can't smell a failing wheel bearing. I've always said, silicon drivers lack intuition.
Look, it's not about replacing the intuition. It's about giving the machine the horsepower to handle the data. This is the fuel for the next generation of autonomous systems.
Speaking of intelligence, let's pivot to Samsara. They just had their Beyond 2026 conference in Vegas. CEO Sanjeet Biswas is talking about the age of intelligence and agentic AI.
I mean, Agentic AI is just a fancy way of saying the system can actually take action instead of just sending an alert, which, from a risk perspective, is terrifying.
Here's the deal. I'm more interested in the hardware they dropped. These disposable Bluetooth tracking labels. Paper-thin, adhesive, and they last 45 days.
Right. And the best part is they don't rely on the carrier's GPS. They ping off the Samsara network. Millions of trucks and smartphones. It's a total visibility win.
We need it. Look at the numbers from Overhaul. Cargo theft is costing U.S. businesses $35 billion a year. That's a 60% jump year over year.
Actually, the real danger isn't just a trailer disappearing from a lot. It's the deceptive pickups. Those schemes jumped 31% in Q1.
Exactly. Criminals are using AI to find high-value loads, copper, pharma, electronics, and then they just impersonate the carrier. It's a nightmare for account managers.
So you're telling me a sticker can stop a professional thief?
Well, okay. It doesn't stop the theft, but it makes the cargo hot. If the label is pinging from a warehouse it shouldn't be in, you've got a trail.
It's a defensive play. In a market this volatile, you can't just trust the handshake anymore.
Which brings us to the Strait of Hormuz. Because that thaw we talked about yesterday, it's officially over. The Ever Lovely just got hit by a drone strike.
Another one. I mean, we just got the diesel prices to stabilize. And now this.
It was a Singapore-flagged vessel, struck about 7 miles off Oman. CENTCOM and the Wall Street Journal are pinning it on the IRGC.
And the crazy part is, the vessel was using the Southern Corridor, the UN-backed route to bypass Iranian waters. Iran basically said, if you don't use our approved route, you're illegal.
It's a total power play. They've set up this new Persian Gulf Strait Authority, the PGSA. They're not just patrolling. They're running a permission-based transit regime.
So the international shipping lanes are basically just suggestions now?
Precisely. And the IMO has paused the evacuation of over 20,000 seafarers. They can't guarantee safety. It's a complete stalemate.
It's brutal. Imagine being one of those sailors trapped on a ship while the IRGC is playing target practice with drones.
Bottom line, this is why we're seeing the shift toward defensible documentation. If you're moving freight through a war zone, your paperwork has to be bulletproof.
My thing is, the risk portfolio for any carrier in that region just went vertical. Insurance premiums are going to skyrocket.
Before we move on, a quick note from our sponsor. Strategic logistics requires world-class engineering. This show is powered by the Stack developed by Eric Christensen at Neural Network Media. Support the architect behind the code. Visit our Patreon at patreon.com/neuralnetworkmedia for a free trial and access to our daily briefing PDF.
All right, let's talk money. C.H. Robinson just bought Despear Logistics for $75 million in cash. This is their first broker acquisition in years.
I actually like this move. Despear isn't a volume play. They're a specialized play. They handle life sciences, healthcare, and data center equipment.
Which is exactly why the price tag makes sense. That's mission-critical freight. Despear has a vetted network where drivers are individually audited.
Look, the old playbook of buying for scale is dead. According to PwC, investors are now targeting defensible assets. They want the stuff that solves a hard problem, not just more trucks.
I mean, if you're hauling a $10 million MRI machine, you don't want the cheapest guy with a trailer. You want the guy who knows how to lock the door.
Right. And with cargo theft at record highs, that security becomes the product. Robinson is basically buying a high-security insurance policy for their clients.
Speaking of policies, can we talk about the FMCSA's MODIS system? Because this is absolute madness. They're trying to kill chameleon carriers, but they've created a compliance black hole.
Actually, it's a technical catastrophe. Since May, the system has basically stopped processing insurance filings.
Exactly. I've got guys who are fully insured, but the federal record says they're in limbo. They're facing inactivation of their US DOT numbers because of a software bug.
I heard they're using Face ID and document scans for verification, and it's just failing for thousands of people.
It's a classic case of rushing a rollout without a safety net. The FMCSA had to suspend the inactivations on June 22nd just to stop the bleeding.
It's a mess. And while the DOT is glitching, U.S. Customs is going the other way. They're dropping $3.5 billion into an AI enforcement surge to stop trade evasion.
Great. So the government can't fix a login page, but they can spend billions on AI to catch us.
Welcome to the modern regulatory state, Buck. Oh, and if you're hauling livestock in Texas, watch out for the screwworm.
Wait, what?
First outbreak in decades. It's disrupting livestock logistics across the state. Biosecurity is becoming a real operational headache.
Now, let's shift to the summer of labor. the Teamsters just scored a huge win against Amazon. An NLRB judge ordered Amazon to bargain with the union at the DCK6 station in San Francisco.
This is the CEMEX precedent, right?
Exactly. If the union shows majority support and the company refuses to recognize them without a formal election, the NLRB can just order them to bargain. No election needed.
It's a massive shift in leverage, especially with this ruling hitting just before Prime Day. The timing is surgical.
I'm all for the workers getting their due, but this is going to create a ripple effect. We're also seeing the ILWU strike against C&H Sugar.
That's a historic one. First strike against that refinery in decades. It's all about retiree benefits and overtime rules.
Look, spot rates are up 40% year over year. Labor knows they have the leverage right now. They're not asking anymore. They're taking.
Let's talk about the manufacturing paradox. S&P Global says the manufacturing PMI hit 55.7 in June. That's the fastest growth since 2021.
That sounds like good news.
On the surface, yes, but look closer. The employment index is at its lowest since 2009. Companies are growing output, but they're cutting people.
It's front-running. Shippers are stockpiling goods to hedge against the Middle East and new tariffs. It's not organic demand. It's panic buying at an industrial scale.
So we're seeing a surge in freight now, but it's a fake-out?
Exactly. It's like a team inflating their stats in the first quarter and then collapsing in the fourth, which is why we're seeing the FedEx Freight spin-off. They're pivoting to a pure-play model to survive the volatility.
And the USPS just got a 5-year reprieve from insolvency. It's a strange time to be in finance.
I'll tell you what's not strange. Volvo's new trucks. They're putting recycled plastics in the splash shields and the carpets.
It's a move towards circular manufacturing. It's not just about the tailpipe anymore. It's about the carbon debt of the vehicle before it even leaves the factory.
It's smart. It helps fleet owners hit their ESG targets without having to buy a fleet of electric trucks overnight. It's a pragmatic bridge.
Speaking of bridges, Waymo is officially in Munich, their first major commercial expansion outside the U.S.
Munich? Those streets are narrow, and the drivers are, well, they're German. I don't know how a robot handles that.
They're partnering with a European OEM and integrating with the local transit app. Meanwhile, Kodiak AI is running driverless heavy haulers in the Permian Basin.
Now that's a real test. Oil fields are brutal. If you can survive the Permian, you can survive anywhere.
I'm still waiting for the first thermonuclear legal verdict when one of those things fails in a crowded city. The regulatory window is closing.
On a lighter note, Claire's just opened a massive new distribution center in Elgin, Illinois. 248,000 square feet.
It's a shift to a pull model. They're reducing touch points for those tiny SKUs. It's all about speed to store.
Just a lot more automation and fewer people moving boxes.
Look, before we wrap the main news, we have to pay respects. The industry lost two giants this month, John Groenendijk and John Wren.
Groenendijk was a legend. The only carrier to win the Heil Trophy 9 times. He built a culture of safety that's basically the gold standard for tank trucks.
And John Wren was a titan in Minnesota and a former ATA chairman. They both navigated the transition from the old school days to the high-tech era we're in now.
It's the end of an era. They left a blueprint for how to run a company with actual integrity.
Now it's time for the big board. our Friday segment where we track the high-level strategic moves of the global giants.
Let's start with DHL. They are going all in on life sciences. They're building these lighthouse campuses in France and South Korea.
This is a classic moat-building move. You can't just app your way into a temperature-controlled hazardous materials campus. DHL is becoming the landlord for the pharma industry.
The Icheon hub in Korea is the real kicker. They've got ultra-low freezers down to minus 80 degrees for mRNA therapies. That's an incredible barrier to entry.
And they're not stopping on pharma. DHL is partnering with a startup called Vela to launch wind-powered cargo ships. Transatlantic service between France and Connecticut starting in 2027.
Now that's a chess move. They're bypassing the EU carbon taxes, which are adding 10% to invoices. Plus, wind is a fixed-cost energy source. No more bunker fuel volatility.
Sailing ships? What is this, 1820?
It's 2026, Buck. It's about the bottom line. While DHL is building, Kuehne+Nagel is fortifying. They just issued 400 million Swiss francs in bonds.
A war chest. They're raising cash while the market is volatile so they can pounce on distressed assets. Meanwhile, they're cutting costs. 30 million saved already this year.
And it's a brutal transition. Expeditors just cut 230 tech jobs. They're moving away from proprietary tech and just plugging into third-party AI.
Which leads us to the biggest brand move of the month. WWEX Group and Octane merged to form ShipStation Global, backed by Thoma Bravo.
I saw the new livery on Ross Chastain's NASCAR Chevy. It looks sharp.
It's not about the paint, Jules. It's the strategy. They've taken a massive human-centric brokerage and fused it with a software-first ecosystem. They're signaling that the relationship side of the business now has an AI backbone.
I still think the handshake wins in the end.
Maybe, but the handshake is now being processed by a 0.7 nanometer chip. The big board. That's a wrap. That does it for us today. We've gone from atomic-scale chips to wind-powered ships and the chaos of the Strait of Hormuz. If there's one takeaway, it's that the industry is no longer just moving freight. It's managing high-tech risk.
Bye.
Later.
Peace out.
Keep the shiny side up.